So I am from Detroit, Michigan. A lot of people, when you reference Michigan, you gotta say Detroit. Like you can't say, "Oh, I'm from Mount Clemens" or "I'm from Flint." Like, dude, that's not the same as being from Detroit. So I grew up in the city of Detroit, and it was like I had the best of both worlds, right? I grew up primarily on the east side when I was younger, when I was first born. Born to a young teenage mother, 17 years old, trying to figure out life and really just navigating life on her own at 17 years old. And so I was blessed to have a family that accepted my mom and me. And my godparents took me in like straight out the hospital, right? I was like, I don't know, I can guess a couple of months old. And what they like to say, discovered. Like, we discovered you. You was just so pretty. You was just a little good bundle of joy. And I had to show, my sister say, I had to show mama. So growing up on the east side was like, I had my godmother who was like a God-fearing woman, and my godfather who was like a God-fearing man who sung. Oh man, he would tap and he would sing and he played the guitar and he'd line us all up and say, sing this, I need you to sing this, sing it now, sing it right, So that was the church life, that's how I grew up on that side. And then there was my mom, right? My mom come from a totally different background. So on her side, which eventually would end up being the west side, it was like night and day. So I was a product of my environment over there, grew up in the streets. I wasn't in the streets per se, but just the neighborhood lifestyle, product of my environment, the fighting, the drinking, the smoking, like all of it. That's what went on the west side. On the east side, we got right. We went to church, we got dressed up for Easter, all of that good stuff. So for me, growing up in the city gave me everything I needed to be productive in life. I experienced street smart and book smart, and the relationship I had with Jesus Christ. So it was an interesting life. My godmother was a phenomenal woman. God rest her soul. She did pass away when I was 16 years old, and that was a very pivotal point for me in my life. But one of the fondest memories I have of her, it's all about church. But she would cook these big dinners, and it was like from scratch. So now I have this like burning desire to learn how to bake, because I remember she'll make like peach cobblers from scratch, cut the dough, the whole 9 yards. And so I remember times when she'd be in the kitchen on Sunday mornings, and she'll make coffee, and she'll do my hair, and she's blowing my hair out, and I'm sitting on the table. And Easter time, we get the big ruffle socks, and she'll put the big ruffle socks on me, and the big dresses and the big bows and the whole 9 yards. So my fondest memories of her is always centered around either cooking, having a good time, or going, getting ready for church that Sunday morning, eating cereal and watching wrestling, So it was like, and she was just an amazing woman. She did everything. I feel like I can never live up to those standards, no matter how good of a parent I think I am. I mean, she was real organized. She would wash clothes, and she would be in the basement for hours, because she didn't just wash the clothes and put them in the dryer and leave them there for days. She would get them out the dryer, iron them, hang them up. I'm talking about for everybody in the household. So she was just a phenomenal woman, and I can go on and on about how many memories I have with her. And times she would sit on the front porch and watch us play, sit on the little banister. Like, I just have so many memories. And I miss her. I miss her a lot. I wish she could see me now. Because it's a funny story. We used to get ready to go to church, and she would always listen to AM 1340. In Detroit, that's like the gospel station back in the day before everything went streamlined. And I used to try to change her station. She'd hit my hand, don't change my station. I'm like, why we gotta listen to that? And so now, all these years down the line, I still hear her voice, because now I'm that person listening to the gospel station. So great memories, and I miss her a lot. So being pregnant at a young age, I was like 20 years old when I had my first child, and it was a very, very, very pivotal point for me because I wanted to change my life. I wanted to give this little girl the best life ever. I wanted to give her everything I never had. And to me, giving her everything I never had was not just about material things, but just giving her the knowledge that I never had, teaching her things that wasn't taught to me so that she can have a better life and do things differently. And so I remember times being pregnant, 6 to 7 months pregnant, crying out to God, like, whatever is not of you, God, just remove it, because it was just a serious wake-up call for me. And I wanted to put down the things that I was doing, the things that I was involved with. And so when I got on my knees and I made that cry out to God and I prayed to God, all I know is like doors started closing. Friendships started to end. People started to disappear out of my life, and to the point where it was nobody but me, God, and my baby. And I was okay with that. It was a scary point in my life, but I was okay with that because I knew the prayers I had prayed. I was dealing with a man that was in the drug life, is in the street gang, you know what I'm saying? And he was doing all the wrong things criminally, So I knew that's not what I wanted to raise my child up in. And so I started to pray those relationships away from me. And what people don't know is I literally prayed him away from me, not because he was such a bad person, it's just because I wanted to be a better person for that little girl. And lo and behold, he got locked up when my baby was 4 months old. At 4 months old, he went to jail. He went to prison for 5 years. And so here I am, 20 years old, this brand new baby, single mother, trying to learn how to navigate life. And so when I had nowhere else to turn, I turned to the Lord. I found myself in church more. I found myself praying more, reading the Bible more, because I'm like, it's me and you, God, me and you. And so it was some tough days, but I was willing to do everything I could to give my child, the best life possible. There were times where, as a single mother, I didn't have everything. Times I didn't have transportation. Growing up in Detroit in the wintertime, you want to have a car. And there were times I didn't have a car. And I can remember just refusing not to give up, like just giving it my all, giving the best that I can give. And so this one particular time I remember, another time when I was praying out to God, and my car had broke down. It was in the heart of the winter time. And if you from Detroit, anybody from Detroit, to get from Detroit to Southfield, it was a trip. So you had to take 2 buses to get to work. And I needed my job, so I couldn't quit. And I needed to take my kid to school, so I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, wait at one bus stop to drop my kid off at school. And she was in preschool. She had to be 3 or 4, right? Drop her off at school, get back on the bus, and take another bus to halfway point to work, and then get on another bus, which people would know, the transfer point was Northland Mall. So I catch the bus to Northland Mall, get off of that bus, get on another bus, what we call the Smart Bus, which takes you out into the suburbs, get on the Smart Bus, and then go to work. And I did the same thing coming back home. So by the time, when I left home, it was dark. When I got home, it was dark. But it's just one of those moments that I look back on wow, I did that. The triumphant times, the struggle was real, but I just refused to give up in that process. And there's many other stories I can tell about just being a single mother, just trying to navigate life and, put my best foot forward. But I couldn't have done none of it without God, for sure. All my life, I can go back to being a little kid watching the Cosby Show. I wanted to be an actress. And I remember telling my mom, very young, and it's still a very vivid memory, that I want to be like Rudy. I want Rudy to be my sister. So the Cosby Show is one of my favorite shows to watch, and I think my inspiration came from there. I always wanted to be an actress, and I always knew it was something in me that desired that. And I think maybe 3rd grade, we had to write an essay, and on that essay, I talked about, what do you want to be when you grow up? When the teachers start asking those questions, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I can remember saying, I want to be an actress. And the funny thing is, I was I want to be an actress and a lawyer. And so my teacher, she said, why do you want to be a lawyer? Here I go. And I was, third grade, like, because my mama said I like to argue, so I might as well argue and get paid for it, you know? So, and, that was just, one of the things that always stuck with me. And even, growing up into young adulthood, I pursued it in high school, I pursued it in college. And it's just something I just naturally enjoy, and there's nothing give me greater joy, Then I said, well, I'm not going to go to law school at this point in my life, so I can just play a lawyer. But I still enjoy acting. That's always going to be number one. Roadblocks while pursuing my acting career. I can think of many, especially being a single mother and trying to go to different auditions and having to figure out if I'm gonna have a babysitter. There were times I took my baby girl, Chelsea, with me on auditions. And this was before tablets, and this was before phones, so to keep her distracted, I used to give her a piece of, like, a coloring book and some crayons and sit in the lobby, and I would coach her through, like, listen, I'm gonna go in this room, I'm gonna be in this room probably about 5 minutes, I want you to sit right here, don't move, don't go anywhere. And sometimes, if there were other actors, like, waiting in the waiting rooms for their turn, I would say, could you keep an eye on her while I go and do my thing, and I'll be like, no, go. And people were really supportive, because I guess they probably thought, like, wow, she making it happen, like doing what she got to do. So there were times I would have to leave her with a babysitter for 10, 12 hours while on set, driving clear across the town to do an audition or to do an actual gig that lasted 18 hours on set. And it was very challenging, but I wanted it so much. I had so much passion for it. I was willing to do whatever it takes. Sometimes they were not even paid gigs, but I wanted to do it, so I did it. I remember one time when I first moved to Atlanta, I drove all the way to Augusta. I had a Durango, 2002 Dodge Durango, so those were like gas guzzlers. It cost me like $80 to fill the tank up. Got there to make $80, but still had to come back home. All they gave me was the gas money. So it was just some challenging times, but I feel like it was all worthwhile, because when you're pursuing dreams, sometimes it's about what you would do if you wasn't getting paid anything. And so that was just my passion behind it, what I wanted to do. So my big break movie, Lovers and Friends, was originally called Chasing Normality. And I think the director and the producer said they went ahead and changed the name because it was more marketable to say, like, Lovers and Friends. Like, what is this, So they changed the name to Lovers and Friends, and I was like, this is it. Like, we made it, because the film was great. It was amazing. It was getting distribution. It was in Walmart, and I was calling my family. I was like, go get my movie. It's in Walmart. It's in Walmart. Everybody was so excited. I mean, I was reaching people in Texas and people in Detroit, and I was like, go get it. Go pick it up. And it was getting major distribution, and I felt like this is the it moment. Like, this is the wow factor. Like, it's about to happen. Like, I'm about to blow up, But and it was amazing working with the people I worked with, those directors and stuff, Kamara Davis and Anthony. Like, they were, real production people, but it just wasn't the big break I thought it was about to be. So, but it was still fun working with the people I worked with. And then I had an opportunity to work with Tony Vaughn, and I was really, really, really kind of like shocked to see him on the set. And that was one of the gigs I drove to Augusta for. And he was real cool, real humble, helpful, gave me all the good advice he can give me. And I will always cherish that, Tony Vaughn. Now he went on to do the Meet the Browns and stuff like that. And phenomenal, amazing, inspiring actor I had the opportunity to work with. Then to being on the set with The Game, the TV sitcom The Game, that was amazing. So I just had some pretty good highlights in my acting career. And the people who inspire me, I guess, for all times would be Taraji P. Henson is one of my favorites. And I think when I went to see her movie, I Could Do Bad All By Myself, I was super inspired by that because it just hit home for me a lot about how she her story and how she started out and how she was a single mother with a son. And so it kind of like made me relate to her, but I always loved everything she does. Cicely Tyson, phenomenal woman of, like of all times. Just her whole acting career, her catalog is so full, but it's just something about the strength that she brings that I've always liked. And, one of my things I really wanted to do was be able to meet her, but, God rest her soul, I won't meet her in this life, but yeah, she's been a huge inspiration in my acting career. Some encouraging words that I can give to some aspiring actors or actresses or anybody who has dreams. The dreams are given to you for a reason. It's an innate thing that you just feel. If it's nothing else you wake up thinking about in the morning and all you can think about is this thing, that's what you're purposed to do. And it's the difference between purpose and passion. But if you can find a way to make purpose and passion meet, then you'll live your best life, because it'll never feel like work. It'll be actually you're doing what you're purposed to do and what you're passionate about doing. And so if you are a person who are losing the dream, remember and if you've been away from doing what you love to do for a long time, because we know that as adults, sometimes it's about pursuing money because we have to pay bills and we have to do all this kind of stuff. But just remember that even though the dream is delayed, it doesn't mean it's denied. You still have an opportunity to get back up, revisit that dream, look at it again, see it again. And my pastor back in Detroit, Liberty Temple, he said one thing to me that always stuck with me. And this is something that probably can help you guys in any struggle. But he said you can't climb a smooth mountain because it's the rough edges that you pull yourself up on. And so because of that always penetrates in my mind when things get tough, because I feel like you're right. It is the rough edges that I pull myself up on, but it gives me the strength to pull myself up. And so that's what I want to tell anybody out there dreaming. Continue to dream. And remember that just because you haven't been active in it now, you can still get active. Because as long as you have breath in your body, you still have another chance. And I live by that. As long as I have breath in my body, I still have another chance. So don't quit, don't give up, pursue your dreams, do what you're purposed to do and what you're passionate about doing, and it'll never feel like work.